What is going on, guys? Jason Burke here, Styles Clash for Life, coming at you on YouTube, and today I've got some football focus. The Pittsburgh Steelers just finished their Week 16 matchup of the 2024 NFL season, their second matchup, this time on the road against the Baltimore Ravens. Big division rival. Steelers-Ravens week is always a big thing. It is cold. The Ravens Stadium was fired up. Not a ton of Steeler fans that you could hear in the stadium. The Ravens wanted to get the revenge. Pittsburgh played the Ravens a few weeks ago at home and won by 2. So it was a home and home stand for each team here. Both teams playing for a lot. Pittsburgh could have locked up the AFC North division with a win today. The Ravens were going to lock up a playoff spot if they got the win today and have the division be wide open coming in at the end of the game with the same record. So both teams playing for a lot. And Pittsburgh coming in very, very injured. Pittsburgh came in today, third straight game without George Pickens on offense. Defensively, Pittsburgh at one point was lacking 3 of their 4 starters in the secondary. Second straight game with no Larry Ogunjobi. Second straight game with no Deshaun Elliott, and then at some point in this game as well, Joey Porter Jr. Went down with an injury. I think it was a calf. Came back into the game for a series, went back out of the game, and did not return at that point. So you're down 4 guys. I think 5 starters in total were injured at some point in this game. So yeah, no Porter for a majority of the game. No Deshaun Elliott. No Pickens on offense. So right away, you know you're going to be struggling. And I know this is going to be considered a negative take, or it's going to be considered like, oh, you're a bandwagon fan, you're not a true fan. I came in with very little hope today about this game, much like I talked about last week. Before the season started, I had the Philadelphia game marked as a loss. And coming in with all the injuries we did, without our main playmaking safety in there, with no Pickens on offense, the biggest play threat we have on offense, without guys like that against a stacked team like Philly, you come in thinking, okay, there's no chance we're going to win this game. And sadly, I was right. I didn't want to be, but you kind of got to be a realist. If you watch enough NFL and you see enough matchups and you know how things play out, you have a realistic expectation of what the game is. You don't want to just blindly go, Pittsburgh's going to go 17-0 and then win all their playoff games and be Super Bowl champions every year. That's not realistic. And so I said anyway, coming into this stretch of games, that Pittsburgh was going to cool down a bit. Pittsburgh was not going to run the table here at the end of the season. Everyone knew, looking at the schedule before any of the injury reports came out, that Pittsburgh was going to have 3 games, 3 games in 12 days against 3 of the best teams in the NFL, a Philadelphia team with 2 losses, a Kansas City team with 1 loss, and a Baltimore team that's just as good, if not slightly better than us. You play 3 of the best teams in the league in 12 days, especially coming in without your best offensive weapon, without your best defensive tackler, and one of the guys back there that's kind of helping call your defense. No Ogunjobi. Porter goes down with injury during the game, so you're out there playing with Corey Trice, who just got back after missing half the season and all of last season. You're playing out there with James Pierre, who you guys know what I think about him. So you're playing a very good team that's playing for a lot, that's trying to get revenge in a rivalry game with 5 guys injured. So what do you expect to happen? Pittsburgh goes down in this game 34-17, and they looked at times very lackluster, much like last week. At times gave us reason for a lot more hope. We came out, kind of started slow, got behind the 8 ball, fell behind to the Ravens early, as we've been doing all season long, good and bad, against good and bad teams. Pittsburgh has been starting slow all year long. Sorry, my phone was going off there. So Pittsburgh starts off slow, gets behind, then comes down and puts together a pretty good drive. And we'll talk about the stats here. We'll talk about the good and bad of Russell Wilson. And we'll talk about the good and bad of both sides of the ball. Let's kind of just get into the stats, and I'll use that to get into the breakdown here. So Russell Wilson's stats today, 22 of 33, 217 yards, 2 touchdown passes, 1 interception, and 1 fumble. So there was a lot of good and bad in Russell Wilson today. And like I said, a couple weeks ago against the Browns, he looked solid, but nothing spectacular. Last week against the Eagles, he looked terrible. This one is a plus/minus for Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson, number one, when they give him throws that he can make, right? So they anytime they do any kind of like posts or crossers or slants, Russell Wilson slings that ball beautifully. When he has one-on-one chances to go downfield and he's playing with a guy on the same level as him, where the receiver and defender are going up one-on-one, he makes those throws beautifully. He also forced some balls today, which caused some bad plays. But he also looked more spry and younger today than he has in a while. He looked like the Russell Wilson who was looking to run the ball downfield a bit. He was the guy who was breaking sacks and kind of spinning out and looking to extend the play and getting some first down on the extended plays. He was doing that today more than he has pretty much all season long. He was looking a bit like younger Russ. So again, when he had his receivers one-on-one, even inferior receivers against better Baltimore defenders, he made tight throws and got first downs. When he was able to get outside the pass rush and extend the play, he got first downs. He also made some negative plays. Running the ball, I think he had 27 yards rushing, but on the one play, he extended the play nicely, escaped 2 sacks, threw the ball to the sidelines, a low ball to Ben Skoranek, who made a nice catch. Then the next play, he gets outside of the tackle box and runs downfield for about a 20-yard play. And instead of sliding, after getting a really nice gain that he wasn't expected to get, he sees the end zone kind of open. He makes a move on one guy. He has one guy to beat, makes a move on the guy instead of sliding, and then the guy knocks the ball out, and Russell Wilson fumbles. So the fumble's on Russ. After making a phenomenal play and good back-to-back plays, Russ gets a bad fumble by not sliding and trying to get greedy and go for the touchdown instead of just going for the first and goal. The interception was also a Russell Wilson bad play. He was looking for a tight end leak out. It was one of those kind of like tight end screen, tight end leaks where Michael Pruitt just kind of leaks off the line, gets a little chip and leaks off the line for a short little tight end play. He throws the ball very much to the inside shoulder, wrong shoulder, didn't see the defender there. I think it was Marlon Humphrey, jumped it and got a pick six. That was the Ravens' go ahead. That was the end of the game right there. That followed a Minka Fitzpatrick interception, which put us back in the game, and then Russell Wilson threw the pick six. So 2 very costly plays for us. One when we're trying to go down and tie it after a big turnover, and one when we're about to get a first and goal after good Russell plays. 2 bad turnovers for Russell today. But like I said, he also did look good running the ball other times and did make some nice throws when he was given the opportunity to. But some of these play calls are not benefiting Russ either. He's forcing the ball and he's turning it over now, which he wasn't earlier in the year, but we're also not giving him enough opportunities to make some good play calls and make some good reads. So that's partially on the offensive coordinator as well. Rushing the ball today, neither guy ran the ball badly. They just didn't get a ton of carries, and I think part of that was the stout Baltimore kind of run front they're known for, and part of that was falling behind. Jaylen Warren gets the kind of the start today. Najee was the first ball carrier, but Jaylen played the majority of the drives and got more carries. 12 carries for 48 yards rushing, that's 4 yards a carry. Also had 5 catches for 44 yards, is one of our leading receivers. So again, running hard, doing some like pitch plays where he gets the running start, getting some nice holes, getting the ball in the open field and creating first downs on third and shorts, and just making the tight window and extending the ball over for the first downs. Good job by Jaylen Warren. Najee, 9 carries, 42 yards, so gets less carries than Jaylen, but does get a 4.7 yards per carry average, more than Jaylen Warren today. So both guys play decent football. They didn't put a ton of runs in the package today. I think one of the issues we have too is the play calling is getting very predictable. It's the first down run, which is too obvious. It's putting us in the second and long situation. And then second down, we're looking for like a simple receiver screen or a running back screen, like an extended handoff kind of a play, and that's putting us in third and long. We're not giving our running backs the ball in unpredictable situations. We're not mixing up the play calls enough. It's not just hurting Russell, it's also hurting Warren and Najee, who ran again pretty well today, but you're going against a really good run defense in Baltimore, and you're not mixing up the calls enough. So I've got an issue with Arthur Smith today, personally. Receiving, Calvin Austin leads the way. It is a receiver by committee room today. Once again, Mike Williams, he's not the big step it up guy. Everyone keeps saying Mike Williams got to step up now and do the deep balls, and he's got to do what George Pickens does. He can't do what George Pickens does. Again, he's got enough in his legs, and he is a good deep ball guy. He's got a good frame. He's tall and long, but he's just not getting himself open. A lot of these plays that Russell has to extend and make plays for are because the receivers are not getting open downfield. That being said, for the second straight week here, Calvin Austin leads the way, 4 catches, 65 yards. Last week he had 5 for 65. This week 4 for 65. Get him more targets. I want to talk quickly about Calvin Austin. He had one where he was just doing an up and in. He was coming down 10 yards and then cutting into the middle of the field. Tight coverage, one-on-one. It's a third down play, and Calvin makes a really nice tight catch. Another play, Beautiful moon ball from Russell Wilson, just bombing the ball downfield. Really heavy contact. Again, Calvin Austin is a smaller framed, smaller height-wise, smaller weight-wise guy. One-on-one down the field, kind of a George Pickens play, where he hand fights with the guy, gets a step on the defender, hand fights, turns his body in midair to locate the ball, catches and drags both feet on the sidelines. Beautiful, beautiful George Pickens-esque catch. He was channeling George Pickens on that. Calvin Austin makes plays every single week. And granted, now as the number one guy, he's not getting as many of them. But you got to get the ball in this guy's hands more. Not just those little wide receiver screens where you're throwing them for negative 1 yard or no yards and Calvin's got to make it all happen himself. He'll do that occasionally, but you can't keep calling those plays for him. You got to get him more opportunities on short slants, on crossers. The guy is so fast and the guy is underratedly physical for a guy that size. He has been our leader receiving the ball for weeks now without George Pickens, and we need more opportunities for him. They did on the play that there was a fourth down play that Russell Wilson just bombed it to Calvin Austin, and Tom Brady was like, well, Calvin Austin's not big enough. Well, yes, when you've got a cornerback that's taller on him and a safety help over the top who's bigger than him, no, he's not going to go up 1-on-2 in traffic and make a George Pickens catch, but guess what? George Pickens ain't out there and Mike Williams ain't doing it, so you got to do something. But bombing the ball to him 1-on-2 against two tall defenders, not the smartest thing. One-on-one opportunities, stuff across the middle of the field, letting him leak out and do kind of like fade plays and plays where he's getting kind of wheel routes. Give him more of those opportunities. He can make it happen. Ben Skoranek, 2 nice catches today before he got injured and went out with a concussion, I believe it was, or some kind of injury where he made his second catch and was gone after that. So Skoranek has been a decent piece of this offense, doesn't get a ton of targets, makes the most of his targets, but then he got hurt. So Van Jefferson had 2, Mike Williams had 2, nothing special there outside of Calvin Austin, but every time that there was a short post or a short slant or something like that, Russell Wilson made the most of it. He hit several guys on those, and those are the good drive starters and the third down conversions that you want. So we have to call more of that stuff in the offense. The 2 touchdown passes from Russell Wilson today, Cordero Patterson and Michael Pruitt. So the third string running back and the third string tight end. Michael Pruitt made one where Russell got stepped on and stumbled in the play, and then located Pruitt, who blocked and chipped and then staggered out of the chip. He stumbled when he came off the chip block and then got his footing, made a nice extended catch in the middle of the back of the end zone. And then Cordero Patterson was on a wheel route, matched up against the linebacker, got a little space, went up and high pointed the ball. The defender's hand was inside of Patterson, so he had to catch it and then hold on to it through the catch. Beautiful stuff for Cordero Patterson there. So 2 guys that are unlikely to be receiving leaders going to get touchdowns today. Defensively, overall, want to point out Minkah Fitzpatrick. First positive game for me for Minkah all season long. He had 6 total tackles, 2 that stood out. One was on Derrick Henry and one was on, I think, Mark Andrews, where he shedded some blocks and got low and made nice tackles to stop big plays from happening. Also today, decent in the run game. Made a few plays in the run game, but also got an interception. Made Lamar Jackson. Lamar had a defender in his face. He jumped a route, then stayed in bounds, cut back to the middle of the field, got us in good field position, and then Russell went and threw the pick 6. But Minkah, first big splash play of the season on top of the good tackles. When your other star safety goes out, you got to make plays. Sadly, it's been a little too late for his season. He's really, really had a down season for me, but today was a very encouraging day. I hope this turns momentum around, and when Deshaun Elliott gets back, you've now got 2 playmaking safeties that can make things happen. The other kind of standout defender today was Alex Highsmith. He really only had 1 play, nothing special overall as a whole on the day, but he had 1 play on I think it was the second drive, where he got a sack on Lamar Jackson and forced a fumble, got around the edge, did the strip sack. The Ravens recovered it. One of the negative things for our defense today was Baltimore had 3 fumbles on the ground, 1 in special teams, 2 on offense. Lamar fumbled and somebody else fumbled, and they recovered all 3 of their own fumbles. So Pittsburgh did force them, but Baltimore recovered them all. So when you can't get turnovers, you're not going to win very many of those games. Something else we struggle on big time, like I said, we got the strip sack, didn't recover. Minkah did get a pick. No points off turnovers. Pittsburgh has been struggling in this stretch, the last 4 games. No points, very few points off turnovers. We are not converting on these turnovers. Our opportunistic defense is not getting as many as we had been, and when we are getting them, our offense is not cashing in. We're getting either nothing back, we're turning the ball back over, or we're getting field goals. That is not enough. Aside from Highsmith's 1 play, there was not enough pressure. Pittsburgh's defense started to shine and started to get punt returns and get off the field when they were getting pressure. When Keanu Benton and Cam Hayward and Highsmith were getting pressure on Lamar Jackson, that was the only time that our defense was able to do anything. Otherwise, Zay Flowers on the outside was abusing us. Mark Andrews was matched up against our linebackers and beating them constantly. Anytime Zay Flowers was in the slot against Beanie Bishop or against Pierre, he was torching them. Derrick Henry had like 150 on us. We couldn't tackle him or seal the gaps at all. So our only success on defense came from pressure. Wasn't nearly enough pressure. 1 sack and that was it. So defensively, I do want to say decent day by Queen. Had a hard time covering. Was matched up against tight ends twice and got beat twice. Not a good coverage day for him. Did have one nice play on Mark Andrews, which was an overthrow in the end zone. So that was a good positive coverage play. Everything else was tackling, but Queen has been a good tackler. In this last stretch, like 5 consecutive really good games for him. Since the bye, he's been very solid. Everything else on defense is a negative. KZ led the team with like 8 tackles today because he was giving up plays left and right. I used to say that he was not a good tackling safety, but he was a very good coverage safety. He's not a very good coverage safety anymore. That has been a down season for him, and the more that he's played, even with Minka being down out there, he has not come in very well at all since Elliott's gotten hurt. KZ had a terrible game today. He was the worst of the worst today for us. James Pierre, once again, negative. He did force a fumble on special teams, which we did not recover, so that was a good play on special teams for him. On defense, he didn't play well at all. Once JPJ went out, it was down to Trace and Pierre playing corner, and you don't want to see that. I do love Corey Trace, and I think he has a huge ceiling. I have liked when he's played for us this season. 7th-round pick that shined in camp 2 years in a row, got hurt last year, came in, got a couple of picks earlier this season, started showing what he could do, and they got hurt again. He's finally back, but coming in here to start against Baltimore after injuries, you don't want to see that. Trace didn't play very well today overall. Got a penalty, got beat on a few plays. So negatives for KZ, negatives for Bishop. He got beat on like a 40-yarder downfield. Couldn't locate the ball against Zay Flowers and then got the broken tackle twice by Flowers. So KZ negative, Pierre negative, Trice negative, Bishop negative. Coverage today sucked. Tackling on the running game today overall, besides Queen, sucked. Queen and Minka had a few nice tackles. Other than that, nothing. TJ Watt. I'm going to give TJ Watt a big negative here. I understand he's getting double teamed, he's getting chipped. Teams are finding a way to neutralize him. But if you are supposed to be the best defensive player in the NFL, if you are a multi-time defensive player of the year or a nominee at the end of the year, and you're meant to be our number one guy on this team, you're the heart and soul of this team, whether you're getting double teamed, triple teamed, chipped, or whatever, you have to find a way to make plays, especially when you've got four starters down, 4 guys on defense out, 5 guys overall out. You got to be the star that you are and find a way to get around. I don't care if 5 guys are on you. I don't care if you're getting held and drugged to the ground by your face. You got to find a way to make that work. I understand they're scheming around TJ, but Highsmith is not doing enough to make up for it right now against the better teams, and TJ is just not a factor. These last 4 or 5 games, very little from TJ Watt, and it's been hard to watch. He's still our leader, and I know that he came in injured. He got beat up last week. He's playing hurt. I understand it. I don't want to beat up on TJ too much. He's our MVP. He's playing banged up. He's getting schemed around, double-teamed, held. We know this. But in the past, in spite of all those things, TJ Watt still makes it happen, especially against the Ravens in big games. TJ finds a way around all those things, and because he's superhuman, he usually does it, and that's why I'm calling him out today. Did not have a good game today. Nothing from TJ. Special teams, Chris Boswell, 1 for 1, 51-yard field goal, very nice. Did have a shanked kick out of bounds, giving Baltimore the ball at the 40-yard line. You can't have that in a game like this. So plus/minus for Boswell. Waitman, 5 punts, 247 yards. That is a 49.4 yards per punt average, with 3 of those 5 punts inside the 20-yard line. Very nice. Pittsburgh loses 34-17. The pick 6 about seals it, and we can't get off the field. We can't tackle. Time possession, 3rd down conversions. Pittsburgh's D is lacking in all that right now. So Pittsburgh falls to 10-5. But hey, Pittsburgh is tied right now with the Ravens, 10-5 and 10-5. I don't know who currently is considered in the lead because Pittsburgh beat them once and they beat us once. So both identical records and identical head-to-head. So we'll see about the division and conference records playing out later with both teams at 10-5. Baltimore's got a tough game now on Wednesday against the Texans. We'll see how that plays out. Both teams playing for a lot. Pittsburgh plays now in 4 days on Wednesday as well on Christmas against Kansas City, who's got one loss all year. And they have been getting closer wins and look beatable this year. But right now with Pittsburgh, my money's on Kansas City on Wednesday. Again, I'm coming in trying to be optimistic. I'm still cheering for the Steelers. I want to see us win more than anything. We have not played well against Mahomes in our lifetime. They're on a hot streak. We're on a cold streak, and we're beat up. So we need to get healthy. Getting George Pickens back and getting Elliott back are going to be two big things, along with TJ getting fully healthy. So injuries determine a lot. We got 2 games left. Hard schedule coming up. I'll see you guys in 4 days on Christmas at some point, probably later in the day. I'll be going out for Christmas and trying to watch the game at a friend's house and then possibly having to come back and watch the game again in a review. So I'll see you guys on Christmas at some point, either Christmas night or the morning after, for the Kansas City review. Tell me in the comments below who stood out to you positively and negatively in this game. Please like, share, and subscribe, and talk to me in the comments about all the things in this game and the ones coming up. Go Steelers. I'm still firmly in the Steelers camp, but right now, hope is lagging as we end toward the season, trying to get healthy. Go Steelers. Merry Christmas. See you guys soon.